According to a business standard report dated 21/6/2023, that is page 766, Your Lordship may note, page number is not given, volume 766.
We've got the page number over here in para 55.
Achha.
You have given the page number.
Right. Vedanta Limited, a multinational mining company headquartered in Mumbai, donated 457 crores. So this is one company from whose returns we have been able to see that they donated 457. They disclosed in the stock market in the last 5 years to political parties through these bonds. Vedanta's donation only for financial year 23 was 155 crores, which was higher than 123 crores donated in financial year 23, according to the stock exchange disclosures by the company. It is interesting to note that in financial year 23, Vedanta Limited had been declared as the preferred bidder for various mining licenses, namely Bicholium iron ore block in Goa, something bauxite, some coal blocks in Odisha and in Chhattisgarh. While various newspaper portals have reported that Vedanta is facing severe financial crisis, it is under a lot of debts, it is still donating hundreds of crores. The same raises severe concerns regarding the fact as to why such high donations are being made when the company is under debt. An investigative report by the International Investigative Group, Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project, a global network of investigative journalists titled Inside Indian Energy and Mining Giant Vedanta's Campaign to Weaken Key Environmental Regulations, revealed backroom lobbying between Vedanta and Union government, where key environmental regulations were modified in favor of Vedanta, who had been an important donor to the BJP. Two entities linked to Vedanta subsidiary, Bhadram Janhit Shalika and Janhit Electoral Trust, gave a combined 43 crores to the party between 2016 and 2020. So this is what I was saying about Electoral Trust. There is some transparency, though not full transparency. This Electoral Trust was created by Vedanta. See, Agro, so they disclosed under page volume 4, page 784. I told your lordship that Vedanta has been given various contracts, several.
You already told us that in spite of it being in losses, still it is paying such a amount.
Yeah, not just losses. I'm just saying that there are a number of mining contracts, etc., that Vedanta has been getting. It's also one of the largest donors of electoral bonds to political parties. So that much we know. Now, just see this IFB agro case, page 784 of volume 4, document 77. These are just examples which will show that there is substantial indication that these bonds are being given by way of kickbacks to influence either government decisions or influence government policy. Now, just see 784 of volume 4. This is a disclosure made by this company called IFB Agro Industries Limited under the LODR requirements of SEBI. It says, we write in continuation of our earlier letters to the stock exchanges wherein we have intimated about excise-related issues being faced by or affecting the company. The board of directors in its meeting dated 31st March 2022 considered such issues and in the best interest of the company and all its stakeholders decided to approve contributions to political parties by way of subscription to electoral bonds in one or more tranches aggregating to not more than 40 crores in financial year 22-23. So this is a somewhat direct indication that they have given, that this one company has given, that it has subscribed and given electoral bonds because that was facing excise related issues. So to ward off excise related issues, they have paid these electoral.
Perhaps, Mr. Bhushan, we'll keep individual cases out of reckoning because, the reason is those companies are not before us.
No, I understand.
Also, any observation which we make in regard to those companies may implicate them in criminal wrongdoing.
I'm not saying that
So
your lordship.
we'll take it as a sort of an illustration by you to buttress your argument.
Of course.
The constitutional argument can't rest on that.
Yes, it is an illustration.
Also, as a matter of first principles, they are not before us.
I understand. Now, my lord, para 59 of my written submission, there is a quote from PUCL, that is that judgment by which this court struck down that Section 33B, which was brought in the Representation of People Act to obviate the disclosure. Now, this is actually a quotation given in that judgment from the National Commission for Review of the Constitution, review of working of the Constitution. This says, high cost of elections and abuse of money power. One of the critical problems in the matter of electoral reforms is the hard reality that for contesting an election, one needs large amounts of money. The limits of expenditure prescribed are meaningless and almost never adhered to. As a result, it becomes difficult for the good and honest to enter legislatures. It also creates a high degree of compulsion for corruption in the political arena. This has progressively polluted the entire system. Corruption, because it erodes performance, becomes one of the leading reasons for non-performance and compromise protection. Unaccounted funds from business groups who expect a high return on this investment, kickbacks or commissions or on contracts, etc. No matter how we look at it, citizens are directly affected because apart from compromised governance, the huge money spent on elections pushes up the cost of everything in the country. It also leads to unbridled corruption, and the consequences of widespread corruption are even more serious than many can imagine. Electoral compulsions for funds becomes the foundation for the superstructure of corruption. And then, my lord, there is a quote from Subramaniam Swamy that
we need not read. It's about corruption in politics and elections.
Yes, and that corruption actually erodes everything in a democracy. And then in the supplemental judgment, page 34, Justice Ganguly's judgment, he clearly and directly says, today corruption in our country, para 81, today corruption in our country not only poses a grave danger to the concept of constitutional governance, it also threatens the very foundation of Indian democracy and the rule of law. The magnitude of corruption in our public life is incompatible with the concept of a secular socialist democratic republic. It cannot be disputed that where corruption begins, all rights end. Corruption devalues human rights, chokes development, and undermines justice, liberty, equality, fraternity, that are the core values of our preambular vision. Therefore, the duty of the court
Mr. Bhushan, actually, we can go to your last point, which is that this is a subversion of democracy.
Yes.
We will read your judgments. We have all the judgments now. How would you
all
actually conceptualize it? How would you conceptualize it?
So, my lord, the argument is
that's your third and last
electoral bond. Yes. If your lordship sees, the third argument starts at page 36. Now, if your lordship first looks at the quotation that I have given from the Law Commission's report at bottom of page 36. This is the Law Commission's report on electoral reforms, and this comes just before the electoral bonds were introduced, March 2015. So there's a quote from there. First is the undeniable fact that financial superiority translates into electoral advantage, and so richer candidates and parties have a greater chance of winning elections. This is best articulated by the Supreme Court in Kamarlal Gupta versus Amarnath Chawla, where there's a quote from that: money is bound to play an important part in the successful prosecution of an election campaign. Money supplies assets for advertising and other forms of political solicitation that increases the candidate's exposure to the public. Not only can money buy advertising and canvassing facilities such as hoardings, posters, handbills, brochures, etc., and all the other paraphernalia of an election campaign, but it can also provide the means for quick and speedy communication and movement and sophisticated campaign techniques, and is also a substitute for energy in that paid workers can be employed where volunteers are found to be insufficient. The availability of large funds does ordinarily tend to increase the number of votes a candidate will receive. If therefore one party or individual has larger resources available to it